Welcome to Journey Unto You. My name is Lorraine, and I am your host. I am privileged to be here with you. And on this platform, we will explore all things autism and other subjects and needs within the community. I will share my journey, and I will also share victories and sometimes some very awkward moments. I hope to encourage you, strengthen, and build you up, and even get some questions answered. This platform is for anyone who has had autism on their path. So get comfortable, take a deep breath, and just listen in. There is hope. Isaiah 42:12 reads, "Let them give glory to the Lord and declare his praise in the coastlands." Some translations may say, "Let the whole world glorify the Lord. Let it sing his praise. Make God's glory resound. Echo his praises from coast to coast." Let them give glory unto the Lord and declare his praise into the islands. I saw a post on social media that was really heartbreaking to me. And the post read this. Number 1, vaccines don't cause autism. Number 2, autism is on a spectrum. Number 3, autism is not preventable or curable because it's not a disease. 4, autistic people pay taxes. 5, autistic people go on dates and get married and have children. 6, autistic people work, thrive across all industries. They are doctors, scientists, teachers, artists, musicians, entrepreneurs, company executives, athletes, actors, and everything in between. And in any case, anyone forgot, they are neighbors, co-workers, friends, and family. Now, this is a post that is a very small percentage of someone on the spectrum. And it almost suggests that this is the whole entire autistic population. Yes, there are some people who are professionals who are on the spectrum. We might call them quirky. There are people who have autism who drive, who hold jobs. But the one thing that got me was vaccines don't cause autism. I am going to need someone to bring the receipts for that. That is a very dismissive and insultive statement to make to the thousands of parents whose children have been affected by that snake bite. Most of us would have never done it had we known the toxins and the poisons that are within that bite alone. Has it ever occurred to any of you why they push so many of those nowadays? They didn't used to do that. Did it ever occur to you how much your PCP or whoever your provider is makes off of each vaccination? Have you ever taken the time to really investigate both sides of the fence on this matter? How dare someone post something so insultive and dismissive? A friend of mine said this the other day. Autism is a strategic assault on the prophetic seed and on future deliverers. It is a strategic assault on this generation. This is a generation the enemy has tried to silence before they could speak. That really hit home when she said that to me. Do you know how many nonverbal children cannot speak? Some of them could speak, and then suddenly their voice was gone after certain things occurred. I have seen children be so frustrated because they can't communicate that something hurts. And yes, they can use speaking devices now. There's lots of technology that is helping these children. But I wonder if this person that posted this on social media has ever sat down and talked with any parent who's experienced what I experienced and thousands of other parents, that the industry is trying to normalize. There is nothing normal about what has happened to our children. There is nothing normal about having a healthy little boy who is thriving and all of a sudden can't talk. There are so many parents that I have personally worked with that are discouraged. They're tired. They're in denial, some of them. Some of them are just simply just doing the best that they can with what they have. This isn't to say that your child can't grow and do things. My own son has a job that he goes to. He goes with a job coach once a week. He works at a well-known retailer store. It doesn't mean that this population of people, depending on where they're at on this spectrum, doesn't mean that they can't have quality of life. But a lot of our children's quality of life was stolen from them. And I am not going to tap dance around that so that other people can feel better about the reality that's around them, or somehow make a parent feel good about their child because maybe they feel so bad about their child having autism. Well, let's make it normal. Do we want our children to be treated fairly? Absolutely. it's not their fault. But to normalize this, like it's just so common now. That should be red flags to anybody. Our children need all the same things that atypical developing children need. That's an obvious, but they do need some extra things. They do need more understanding. They do need more patience. They do need for you to take more time to show them a skill. I worked with a child for months to help him to learn to brush his teeth. We broke it down in simple steps, what we call in ABA as task analysis steps, to help him learn to brush his teeth. This child that I'm speaking of, he was verbal. Now he speaks with a speaking machine or a speaking device. Or sometimes we say your words. We live in a world where people just want to normalize any kind of behavior, any kind of choice. Or we see something and we say, well, that's their reality. So because it's someone's reality, we're all just supposed to accept it. And that's what I got from that statement. It was a statement that it was a post that was not well thought out. Do I believe that the snake bite causes autism in every case? No, I do not. I think that it's complex, it's layered, and as I have stated before in earlier posts, I also believe on a lot of levels, it's a spiritual matter. There are things being done in this world that you must investigate. You must take the veil off of your eyes and have courage to see the truth. Our foods, things being dropped off from the sky onto us. There's all kinds of bioweapons happening right now. Not to mention some deeper, darker truths that I'm going to get into. This is an assault on generations. I recently went to a training where a behavior specialist was talking about how discipline doesn't seem to work with children with special needs. And she said, have you ever noticed that discipline doesn't really work? But she was saying it in a way See, we live in a culture right now where the words naughty, manipulation, defiant, disobedient, non-compliant, those are almost like curse words. And I also knew on the other hand, however, what she was speaking about. Discipline within the special needs community. Let me just stick with autism because there are clearly other special needs where we know that a child really truly doesn't know any better. However, even with those children, you can still teach them boundaries. You can still teach them what no means. I've worked with all different types of children on the spectrum, and there are some that are just so sweet and easy to deal with, but they still need to be taught no. They still need to be taught, you can do this though, or this is an appropriate way to do a thing. Yes. I have seen parents make the mistake that because their child has a disability that they are exempt from child rearing, from child training. I've seen parents be afraid to discipline. And discipline doesn't always mean some type of corporal punishment. That's not what we're even talking about here. We're talking about setting limits and having natural consequences, and sometimes having consequences. That's one of the things, to be quite frank, that makes my job really hard to do, is the culture that we live in. We live in a culture where people just don't discipline. They just don't train. They're afraid to really set firm boundaries. I work in a setting where people are afraid to speak directly to a parent. We do a lot of tap dancing around issues, which honestly prolongs a child's ability to get well in some cases. ABA is a great therapy in a lot of ways. And in some instances, it isn't for every child who has autism. But I see a great number of children that have more issues with behavior because they don't get the proper parenting at home. And I don't mean that unkindly, but I mean it exactly how I mean it. We have children that want their way because at home that's what they get. They're not told no. They're allowed to do certain things. And so then they bring them to us and they want us to fix their child. Or they have the mindset that if they bring them to therapy, we're going to cure their child. If we just implement 40 hours a week. I knew a family that brought their 2-year-old. He qualified for 40 hours a week of therapy. Well, at this particular clinic that I worked at, the director of the clinic did not do that. She felt that that was too much therapy for any one child. So this little one, I believe, had about 15 to 20 hours, which was still a lot for him. He was still kind of a baby. And his parents were in a place of really a deep denial about where their son really was. He had no words. And we were teaching him how to use his picture cards to tell us what he wanted. And that takes time. And they were very frustrated with us because he wasn't doing all these things within 2, 3, 4 weeks of therapy. This little boy spent 2 weeks crying because he was little and he couldn't tell us and he was upset and he didn't want to be there. So we had to get him used to us for the first, I would say, almost month. Then pretty soon we were able to show him just 1 or 2 picture cards of preferred activities, just to show him that he had a way of communicating to us what he needed. And his parents were not happy about that. I've seen parents restrict their children's diet because they've read a lot of misinformation about, if you just do this particular diet, it will cure autism. If your child is cured by a particular diet, I question whether they had autism to begin with. I'm that parent that did everything, even horse therapy. I've seen other parents, change their child's diet, which was helpful. Our children actually need more of a nutritious diet. They do lack in certain vitamins. Those things are scientifically true. But remember what I said about this being a spiritual matter. There is a very deep-seated root to these snake bites that others have tried to get out and have been silenced, have been told that they're whack jobs, have been told they don't know what they're talking about. I would find it hard to believe that thousands upon thousands of parents who this has happened to, who understand what's happened to their child, we're just all a bunch of nut jobs. Our children, even though they don't have voices, they still need love. They still need hugs and kisses. They need lots of extras, lots of what we call going back door. My own son, we've learned to, it's been many years now, but we figured out a strategy with him that worked best because he was one of those children who, as he got a little older, he wasn't like this when he was smaller, but as he got older and hormones started kicking in, we started dealing with more anger. And in this particular training, this behavior specialist was talking about how, when we discipline this community, how it causes more anger. And it can, and I have seen that. Again, I go back to it's a spiritual matter. So with my son, while we still implemented consequences for his choices, they were appropriate for him. But we learned to word things in a way that suggested he was making a choice, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. And at first, I really didn't like doing that because I felt like I was giving in to him. I felt like I was letting him have his way. And I felt like it was counterproductive to what I was really trying to implement as a mom. And as parents, we were trying to set a standard in our home, but, and we didn't know at that time anybody else with children with autism. But as time went on, we began to see that with our son in particular, giving him a couple of choices, and I'll give you an example. So he got to a phase where he didn't want to take showers when we asked him to. And so what we learned to do was, okay, so do you want to take a shower at 2:00 or do you want to take it at 4 tomorrow? And he would choose 4:00. And so the next day we would say, well, remember you said you wanted to do it at 4. And sometimes he'd say, yeah, well, I changed my mind. And I'd be like, okay, so do you want to do it at 5? So I would keep with that type of strategy, but I would still get the results that I was looking for, which was him to take a shower, right? And so a lot of ABA is like that. And with some of our children, it takes time. And some of these children have very aggressive behaviors. And when I see things with statements that say things like autism is not preventable or curable because it's not a disease. It's not a disease. It is absolutely preventable. Is it curable? Depends on what you mean by curable. Remember I said this is a spiritual matter. It isn't a disease, it is neurological damage to the brain. I know of a family their child was cured of autism. It's the only case I've heard. It's a spiritual matter. And along with having a spiritual understanding with things in this realm that do affect us as people, that affect our environment, like technology and the things we ingest, the environments that we're in. Children with autism are infected by their outside environments as well. When things are too noisy, when there's too much talking, if the music's too loud or certain types of music, that disrupts them neurologically, a lot of them. Remember what I said. We as humans are primarily spiritual, and our genetic makeup is primarily water. These things are very sensitive to our children, and it matters. And it's not always easy. I work with a population that I get sometimes very frustrated with, because I do know that they know what they're doing sometimes. And they may have some special needs, but they absolutely hands down know. They may not, totally understand cognitively the effects, but they know. They know when they're doing things that they ought not be doing. And they can be a wonderful population of people to be around. They're funny. They do and say funny things. They're endearing. And they need protection. They need covering. They need voices to speak for them. They need advocates that understand them. And I have seen professionals not understand this population of people and are in this field. Autistic children, a good portion of them really, as a whole, and I don't want to speak for all of them clearly, whenever I make statements, it's never to say every single one ever. This is just my experience and the areas that I've navigated and watched others navigate. And other parents share their stories with me. Our children really do like to be fixated on what they enjoy. And they really don't want to do anything outside of that. They don't like their worlds messed with. And so as a care provider in the ABA field, that's kind of what I do, unfortunately. I poke their bear all day long because we are aiming to teach them skills that will, in fact, assist them to have more independence and to be able to do things that they should be doing on their own, like brushing their teeth or learning to use the restroom on their own and having functional play skills with peers. Some of these children need to learn to be around others and tolerate the presence of others. And that's where this functioning piece comes in. Some of the lives of our children are so greatly affected by the fact that they just perseverate on a block, and that's all they want to do is watch that block spin all day long. That's all they want to do. They don't want to go outside. They don't want to do it. They would just want to watch that block. And their parents are grieved. How do we help our child? What can we do? So when I see statements like this on social media, the ignorance that is still out there, the ignorance to normalize something that is not normal. It's okay that we have people out in the community who are very high functioning people who pay their own bills and live what we call normal lives, right? And that's great. And I want to support them too. We live in a world that claims how compassionate and full of love they are. But yet, that's all in theory. Our acceptance to normalize something that isn't normal is almost hypocrisy. My son loves to go on walks. He likes to go do karaoke. He loves 70s music. And my son he likes to be around people for short periods of time. He is what we would say probably pretty social for where he is at on the spectrum. But he also starts to show signs when he's had too much. So my son has this whole life that's modified. And that's not normal. That makes me feel for him. Do I think my son is special and wonderful? And, in reality, would I change anything about him? Well, no, I wouldn't change anything about him, but I would change that moment. Of not understanding, not having the information that I needed. I have felt cheated for my son. And my son's come a long way. And I believe that he still has a lot of healing that is his inheritance. And that is for many of our children. I want to thank you for listening in and for sharing in this journey as we navigate, as we have experiences. It's an honor to be able to share the things I've seen and heard and my thoughts. I don't expect agreement because that's not what this is about. And I do know people within the field that don't share the same convictions that I share. But what we do share in commonality is a deep empathy for these children. And how can I help them? What can I do to be their voice? And how can I support parents? How can I help a parent understand what they're really dealing with? And this is something that is a deep issue as well, because I've seen this vary from culture to culture. It is still a little bit taboo within certain cultural communities. They find it very hard to accept. It's almost a shame badge. Fix my child. Hide my child. And I get it. I do. I get that cultural piece. This is not an easy assignment as a parent, but it can be done. There's hope. There's communities. There's resources. And I want to thank you for this time. And I'm so grateful to have been chosen as that parent. As rough as it's been, I'm grateful. And that's what I wouldn't change. God bless you, and I love you, and remain hopeful.
Now I've journeyed oh so far just to get right where you are, the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. Though this cold road which I walked taught me to run to you, and you found me 'cause I was lost, but journeyed unto you. For all my battles you have fought, your word faithful and true. When it was comfort that I sought, my peace you did renew. Most of this cold road I walked, I was carried by you. Guide our talk and hearts and thoughts as we journey unto you. Jesus Christ, I thank you for all you brought me through. Help us to lead your children to journey unto you. And help us to lead all the children to journey unto you.